Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the performance of the Extreme Z Awakened LR GT trio and how they do in the Cell Max event. Now obviously, as a full disclaimer, these guys are pretty good. One thing they do have, obviously compared to a lot of other units, is they are INT type, which means they do have a favorable type up matchup against Cell Max. So yeah, also disclaimer as always guys, please do not measure the performance of a unit by their performance in the Cell Max event. It's an incredibly tough event that requires either a huge amount of evasion or a large amount of damage reduction, along with probably guard as a mechanic as well, to withstand the super attack, let alone the abilities of the normal attack. Now, the GT trio massively increased their defense after super as well, so the amount that they tank before super is going to be considerably more than what they tank after super. So ideally these guys are actually best utilized as a second slot unit. We're going to be taking a look at them as a first slot unit against Cell Max, but realistically speaking, you want to put them in the second slot. Now, at Rainbow level, fully linked leveled, with all of their defensive stacks active, they very much could, and if they get an additional the turn before, tank Cell Max before firing a super attack. And when I say tank Cell Max, I mean tank normals from Cell Max because of their type advantage. But it's a very specific situation. So yes, personally speaking, I think they are very, very good. Now to talk about them very briefly, they raise attack and defense by 33% for one turn, which is obviously notable. They seal super attack, which isn't really an effective mechanic here. They are a Dragon Ball Seekers type lead of 177%, which is very good, and they raise defense by 33% for 3 turns on their Ultra Super attack. This is good because it allows them to build some kind of stacks. Ideally you want them to get an additional attack at some point so they can raise their defense as well. But just with raising their stacks they will be pretty good, and yeah, that's around it. So passive wise, defense is 77%, attack and defense is 77% when performing a super attack. That's where that huge defensive boost does come from. They get an additional attack of 77% if it's an ultra super attack, which is obviously very, very good. And they also have Ki +1 and attack with 7% per Dragon Ball Seekers or GT Heroes category ally on the team. They then have an additional Ki +3 and a high chance of performing a critical attack when all allies attacking in the same turn are Dragon Ball Seekers or GT Heroes category characters. So they do great damage. They are a great damage dealer. They're never a unit that, even with their fully maxed out defense as a Rainbow unit with support on a rotation, is going to, tank Cell Max super well. But they are a unit that can definitely tank as normals, especially after super attack. They are best utilized as a kind of follow-up to Pan or a floating unit that can dish out good damage to Cell Max. I think that's really where they'll be highlighted for this event. But overall I still think they are fairly good, and I think you definitely can invest into them. I think they do an excellent job overall. And for me, at least personally speaking, I think they are very, very solid units. Units that traditionally gain a large amount of defense on super are kind of always looked down upon a little bit by the community. I notice that people don't necessarily enjoy having units that don't have great starter turn defense. But traditionally I find that these guys are so good that they kind of not circumvent that, but they do a little bit better in that sense. They really are super solid defensively after super, and their damage is just so easy and free. It's just an exceptional amount of damage, realistically speaking. They can do so much damage. They can really dish it out to the opposition. They have great control over it. They just do a fantastic amount of damage, and I think that's always something that is helpful. Damage is how you win events at the end of the day, and as long as the unit is reliable enough for normals after they super, then I don't think there is ever really like too much that can go wrong. And I think overall they are a unit that you'll see a lot of good utilization out of, and maybe not specifically going to help you conquer Cell Max. I think there's a lot of other metrics that help you conquer Cell Max, and although Dragon Ball Seekers is a very good team, I do think there are a lot of other factors at play, generally speaking. But I do think they are a unit that's highly exceptional in what they do. Yeah, I think they're a unit that really can just provide a good amount of damage to the team and just really assist you in getting a good performance out of the team. So yeah, I think they're great. I do like what they bring to the table. If there's anything I would say, I would probably say it would have been nice if they just stacked defense for 3 turns on their 12 key. I think at the end of the day that would have been nice, because any additionals that they get could have also carried over to the next turn. And I think that at the end of the day would have probably set them up really nicely. Not so much to become a true first slot tank, but just to give them a little bit more of an edge when they are doing these events. But with that being said, we're now going to see just how good they are, how they tank Cell Max. As I said, we're putting them in the first slot. You shouldn't really do this because, again, that's not really where they belong. They have stacked up pretty well. They are missing, I think, 1 stack of their defense. But otherwise, they are looking about as good as they can get with 1 dupe in them. Yes, you could have a bit more support on the rotation. 168k as well. It's pretty steep. They would definitely tank for close to double digits afterwards. So pretty decent stuff. But yeah, just wanted to basically see how well they tanked, and that's really about it. There's nothing too much more to focus on. So yeah, but leave a like if you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.